excited to do this. I've watched a million backpack videos, so it feels fun to do my own.
I love that.
We've spent our entire 20s being best friends.
We survived university together, traveled together,
Moved to a foreign country together, survived long distances apart,
and made it back together during a global pandemic.
all while making each other laugh along the way.
If we've learned one thing in our 20s, it's that having amazing friendships is everything.
And we want to say bon voyage to this decade in an unforgettable way.
So, since we've been besties for the last 10 years,
Over the next 10 months, we're going to try and finish visiting 30 countries before our 30th birthdays.
we're gonna spend our hot girl summer traveling around Europe before going on to Southeast Asia and maybe even some other places along the way.
And we couldn't do it without bringing you along. We're going to document the whole process, so grab your bestie and get ready for an amazing adventure.
I think the first question
And I
is
think-
backpack versus suitcases.
Yeah.
You need to do a hard look at yourself and be who are you and what is your trip looking like? We are very loyal backpack people, but there are amazing, well-versed long-term travelers who are suitcase people, i.e. Karen Nate.
Shout out.
You have a little eye on your eyelash. This eyelash. One more script. Yeah.
So once you've decided if you're gonna go with a backpack or a suitcase, you have to decide how big you wanna go. And when it comes to backpacks, they're usually measured in liters. And you have to be assured if you wanna take it as a carry-on that it's gonna fit as a carry-on. So around that 40, 50 liter range, anything above that, you're gonna start excluding yourself from those carry-on capabilities, and you'll have to check the bag when you fly, so that's something really important to consider. Anything below 40 and 50 liters, I don't know if I could personally pack everything into that, so that would be impressive if you could.
Yeah, and I think 40 liters, you're guaranteeing that you're gonna be able to check in.
50, it depends. You have to really keep track of the measurements of the bag itself and pay attention to the measurements of the bag allowance on each airline.
And I think sometimes it will come down to like how lenient they're feeling at the gate.
I was a little nervous going up to the gate, and then they made me check one of the bags in the end, so I'll have to repack those.
The first time we went, I went into a 50 liter, never had any issues, so we'll have to see on this trip.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay, now kind of about our backpack choice.
Is there a bigger choice before you go on a trip, is the question.
Yeah, you
100%.
have to remember that your backpack, especially when you're traveling long term, like becomes like a friend. Sounds silly, or like your home.
Like a turtle shell. It's everything you own inside your shell. It's everything you got on your back. So it really does become your home in a way, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'll go ahead with my choice, which is the Osprey Farpoint 40, and is the backpack that I actually took backpacking on our first backpacking trip. This is a 40 liter backpack. The very first time I took it, I specifically loved the fact that it was a backpack designed for travel. So it opens up completely like a suitcase. It doesn't open just at the top like a typical backpack would. As well as the straps on the back can be very easily tucked away, and there is struggles with it. There's even a flap that comes out that you can zip completely shut to cover all the straps when you're checking it. The main compartment has straps to keep your items secured, as well as a zippered mesh portion on the top, which I sometimes like to use for laundry.
And I've seen some people use it like a packing cube, like an extra packing cube, but I think the laundry idea is like kind of genius.
And then it has a second pocket that has more zippered pouches and sleeves, specifically I think for electronics and laptops. And this second pocket surprisingly can hold a lot because it sort of domes out at the front if you pack it more full.
But if you pack it too full, just be careful. If you are trying to go carry on, you might exclude it.
Be warned. And then there's also a small zippered pocket on the top that is perfect for extra locks and straps and things like that.
What's that for?
It's to make it a strap to make it a duffel bag.
Cool.
I feel like an airline hostess.
Yeah.
Or something you need quick access to but isn't super valuable. I chose this backpack initially. It was a big choice initially. My mom will tell you we had to go to the backpack store countless times to try on backpacks and make sure this was the right one.
It's a big, expensive purchase too.
It's one of the biggest purchases when you're planning for a trip is what you're gonna take all your stuff in.
Yeah, and now you've had it for 6 years and you're gonna do another huge trip. So it can be a really important long-term purchase.
Investment. The first time I really picked it, I think just because of the style of backpack and the way that it opens, and the fact that it was one of the only backpacks on the market at the time specifically designed for travel. So all of those features that I was looking for were there. I decided to go with it again this time because it worked so well for me the last time, and I actually am bringing a second day pack that has a little bit of extra space for some other things that I'm going to be bringing specifically on this trip. Ever since I've had this one, I have been obsessed with Osprey, and it has never let me down.
I am also going with an Osprey bag. I bought a new bag for this trip, which was surprisingly an emotional decision. I think just because I love my last bag so much. And again, I was with Jonathan that
Terrible, you're laughing at me. Keep going with your bag, girl. I actually hate that. Please don't call me out. I'm trying to smile.
No, that's good. It just took me aback. I'm sorry, it was good, it's good. As Jonathan said, we went to the backpack store 1,000 times before our first trip. It was like a hobby of ours. Because of that, I felt very attached to my backpack. When we went the first time, travel backpacks were new. And one of the only companies that were doing a travel backpack was Osprey, and they only had one, which is the one that Jonathan has. I tried it on a bunch because being able for it to open fully as well as zip back the straps like seemed like an amazing idea. The problem was it was a unisex bag, and just like the way my body is shaped, the unisex bag just like never really fit me. But traveling and backpacking has, I guess, become more popular, or the industry has grown, or companies have seen that there is like a market there.
Demand.
Yeah, they have come out with like a whole extended line. So now they comes in women's as well as they have a couple different versions. I'm going with the Osprey Fairview Trek. So the big difference between it is this is the female version. And you're like, well, how is it different? It accommodates a bit more for like wider hips, as well as like the straps are slightly different in the chest. I'm also very short. I'm like 5'2". So
they go short enough.
Yeah, they go short enough, and it wasn't like gaping, which the unisex or the men's ones did. And then the other thing, my first backpack was a partial front open right here. And it was a partial front. And the big thing that sold me on it is it had this mesh panel at the back, as you can see, that kind of lifts it off of you. With my first backpack, that was like amazing. Like we sometimes would walk like 40 minutes from like a train station to where our hostel was with our backpack on. And I'm much more of a complainer than Jonathan. So Jonathan was a trooper with his backpack. He would like, by the end, he'd be like, I'm ready to get to the hostel. And I
guess that's one downside of this backpack, is because the straps can tuck away so well. The straps and hip straps themselves are not quite as robust and thick and padded as some of the other backpacking and travel backpacks have, just because they have that ability to tuck away, which is something to trade off.
It does have the mesh thing on the back, so it's still like cool and like can help with sweat, but this is like just that extra layer. Yeah. That's why it's called the Trek. So I was really excited to see that Osprey had made basically the travel backpack mixed with my old one that had that back panel. So that's why I went with it. It has a lot of the features that Jonathan showed you. It opens all the way up, as well as it also has like kind of these suitcasey straps that you see on suitcases that go over everything to like really tuck it in. I honestly don't really know what those are for in suitcases, and I don't really know what they're for in this backpack.
I think it's like a built-in packing cube, kind of like what you were saying about the mesh pad, that if you just had things rolled up, it can kind of keep things contained so it doesn't all spill out when you open it. But I would still suggest using packing cubes.
That's another thing, to packing cube or to not to packing cube.
I'm so team packing cube.
So team packing cube. If you need to grab something, you know which packing cube you're grabbing and it's gonna be in there. You don't have to unpack your entire backpack. If you're one of those animals that go into a backpack without a packing cube, let me know. Like, are you alive? I think if you had a suitcase, I could like more understand not using packing cubes.
They have a little bit more internal structure to them, usually, that you can kind of like structure your things in a suitcase that you couldn't that way in a backpack. It would just slosh about.
So not into that. The one kind of maybe downside, maybe plus side of this backpack is it doesn't have like a top, a pouch, which my old backpack did, and they did like store a lot and I used it a lot. This top pouch here is like kind of like a duffel bag basically that you can take out and put this backpack in. It's worth it for me to lose like a little bit of space for that. And I also am in a 50 liter instead of a 40 liter because Jonathan is a better packer than me. And that's just the fact.
I think your secondary bag is a little bit smaller as well.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's true. But thank you for trying to give me something. I like to say it's because I have to pack dresses.
I mean, that's a lot of fabric.
Well, and
we need something to flow.
It's a whole other category.
Yeah.
Like your tops and bottoms.
Yeah, if only I had bought jumpsuits or something too.
Yeah, they need to make more jumpsuits for like tall people.
That's true.
Because you've tried on a lot of jumpsuits.
I've found a lot of jumpsuit styles that I like, but it specifically is the length and that length in the crotch area that will really get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, this is such a tangent.
This is such a tangent. The other thing that I think when you're looking for a backpack is easy access side pockets. So one that you'll see commonly that is on this is like on the hip pouch, there's a little zipper pouch. So that way when you're walking, you could throw like keys,
sunglasses,
some gum even, some things in the zipper pouch so you don't have to like open up your whole backpack when you're walking with it. There's also a really nice thing about the Osprey bags and the travel ones. They have these like straps on the front here that go across and you can like tighten it up and like basically corset your bag, which again like helps pack it down.
It even just makes it look a little bit tighter, I find, because everything is like strapped in under these straps, which helps when you're trying to get it as a carry-on.
And like I said, I brought a 50-liter backpack, like pretty much exactly the size, shape. It had even the back part, and I never had an issue the first time. I never was made to check it, and we were taking budget airline.
I know they've tightened up on things with that, so we're very curious to see what that is going to be like this time, and manifesting that we don't have to pay a lot of baggage fees.
You gotta live
and we'll learn.
Yeah, and we'll definitely make a whole video. I watched a few videos, people specifically with my backpack taking it as a carry-on, so that I was like, okay, that helped affirm for me. So if we'll do that and see if it works. Now for our day pack. My day pack, another reason is Osprey as well. And another reason I wanted to go with this new Osprey because they've now made it so that your Osprey day packs can hook on to the front of your Osprey pack, and my old one was too old. It didn't have that capability. It makes it like so secure, so I don't have to have a backpack on the front and a backpack on the back. Again, I'm a whiny person. The first time we went backpacking, Jonathan and I only brought one day pack between the two of us, and Jonathan carried it. Anytime we had to walk, he would hook it onto his front. He's such a trooper. Get yourself a travel friend like my buddy. So this is the Osprey Daylight Plus. I went with the Daylight Plus because the big difference is it has this like front pocket here, as well as I got this as a Christmas gift, and it's pretty much the same purple as my old backpack, so it's a nice nod to it. We already used this when we went on a trip earlier this year, and it was like amazing. It's so comfortable. It has straps at the front and that, so you can actually pack a lot, and I think this is 30 liters, but it might be 20, but I think it's 30. We could fit so much. It has the water. We could walk all day, like hike all day in it, and it was great. There's a little laptop pouch here, as well as there's like a little clip here that you can clip things on. I have this little coin purse. It was nice because it's like slips in, so for change and stuff like that. And then as well as I have one that Jonathan's mom got me that carries my crystals in it. Wiki girls unite. There's also a little front pouch, which again I think the Daylight regular doesn't have, but the Daylight Plus does. And another nice feature is this thing here that's like the chest strap is adjustable, which also just works really well for me and my frame. And that's really all there is to say about it. We're big Osprey fans.
Clearly.
This is not sponsored by Osprey. We would love to. Long-term Osprey fan. Jonathan's day pack is even cooler.
I need to grab it. And this is my second pack / day pack. I actually got it on Amazon. It's a travel backpack.
It's like designed if you're going on like a weekend trip, you could just bring this.
It's like a weekend bag,
Yeah.
specifically designed for travel.
Which might also be like such a game changer, because sometimes when you're backpacking, you might go to a place for just a weekend and then you're back to like the city, and sometimes you can find a place to store your huge backpack so you don't have to carry it.
This would be all you need.
Yeah.
I specifically love that it opens like my other larger backpack. It opens completely like a suitcase. Inside on the top part, there are some zippered pouches and mesh pouches, which will be super handy for all those little like bits and bobs that are not going to be packed into a packing cube specifically. It has a super large main pouch as well. And a cool feature it has, there is a built-in USB charging port that plugs into an external charger. You can plug your phone on the outside of the bag while you're wearing it.
It'll be interesting to see how much you use that. It either will be like a feature that you'll be like, oh my god,
So
how did I
handy.
go without? Or you'll be like, I never use this
Never
one.
plug it in. Another really cool pocket is shoe pocket. So the bottom unzips here. Oh, and you can put all your shoes inside, and that pocket leads into this main inside pocket as well. So it's sort of like a built-in packing cube for your shoes.
So your dirty shoes don't touch everything else in your bag.
On the front of the bag, there is also a couple other different size zippered pockets. And one of my favorite parts, on the back of the bag, there is one additional secret zipper pocket that goes against your back so you can keep all of your important travel documents, extra cash that you have on hand, and things that you would be worried that people would reach in and try to grab from your bag.
I had someone reach into this pouch when I was traveling the first time and stole cash out of there. Did get the cash back from the person. That's a story for a different time.
That says
Let me
everything
know.
you need to know about MacKenzie.
I don't recommend it.
And it's completely water resistant, so you can wash it really easily. It sort of has like a nice plasticky finish, but in a good way. It's soft, but just you can tell really easy to clean and wipe off.
What's this strap? What's this zipper?
We forgot about a pocket. That's how many ones there are. The actual back part of the bag also unzips, and there's specifically a pocket for your laptop with extra padding on the back against your back, and that keeps something that you wouldn't want scratched separate as well.
You know when your laptop's buried at the bottom, you have to like claw it out?
So this bag has a lot of cool features.
I also think it was a great price. Like I think it was like $50.
For this bag and like the quality and sturdiness of it, I'm very impressed, and I'm excited to give it a go on the road.
My Osprey Daylight Plus is amazing quality and I love it, but it was closer to $100. But yeah, I think this one is like...
Totally depends on your budget as well.
Should we talk about our packing cubes?
Yeah. Also, my packing cubes are some of the original packing cubes used from the original backpacking trip. From Eagle Creek, they were a bit of a splurge the first time we went backpacking because they are a compression style of packing cube. There also is a secondary zipper around the entire outside of the packing cube that seals all those edges in, compresses all the air out of it when it's packed full of clothing, which is super handy, and actually I find does save more space than you would think it does. Even just by rounding out some of the corners, you can shove things in your bag around the packing cubes easier that way. So I have 2 large ones and 2 medium ones, as well as just a smaller packing cube with mesh on the front for my underwear and intimates.
And those ones have lasted you a long time. So it's kind of worth like splurging on a brand.
I'll have to look up and put on the screen exactly how much these were back in the day, but they have taken me countless trips. Like I have traveled with these both on long trips and short trips. I've also stuffed them very, very tight, really wedged in the sides when I'm closing the compression, and they are very sturdy.
I just got mine on Amazon, suited Nomad. I will say I can already tell mine probably will not last as long as Jonathan. So there's something to be said about going to go with the naturey ones. Naturey ones.
Eagle Creek.
Well,
Right, like the rugged,
there's
yeah,
ones that, like,
camping.
naturey.
Yeah.
I wanted pink.
Barbiecore.
You should know my favorite color.
And I think Mackenzie's favorite color is purple.
Devastating. They came,
Look at that squirrel.
Oh. One thing that I do kind of recommend, go for brighter colors because they're easier to find like in your backpack in the dark and stuff like that, which you don't think you'll need. But if you're like me, I always book the earliest flight possible. So I am that person at 5 a.m. in the hostel, like with no light, trying to like dig through. Yeah, we have a little like headlamp that put on, which actually is really handy because then you're not trying to hold a flashlight.
Even if you're trying to repack something kind of stealthily, you have the light above you. It's a top tip.
So bright colors help with that. I'm gonna show you my packing cubes from first times. I am bringing one of them. We're not compression because I was cheaper the first time and they didn't really have like cheap compression packing cubes at that point, and you do just waste more space. So this time I needed to bring more stuff. These were the packing cubes I brought the first time, also Eagle Creek, and literally have almost no signs of wear and tear, and I have used these like 100 times since and traveled like extensively in them. So Eagle Creek, shout out. Also not sponsored by them.
Would love for it to be.
Yeah. One benefit of this one is it's a mesh. You can use them as like a laundry bag, or this time bringing like my socks and my underwear in there so that they air out a little bit more.
They got a little room to breathe.
But they're not compression. So I am worried about mine like busting a sleeve because when I zipper them really tight, I can see the seams like pull in a little bit. I might update you later and be like, big regrets.
Yeah.
Go with the Eagle Creek. They haven't busted yet. Yeah, those are the packing cubes. Like I said, we're loyal packing cube people. So bring them.
So once you've made those important big decisions, it's time to actually pack.
Yeah.
That's exciting in its own way.
And an art.
An art.
So let us know, what backpack did you bring? Are you team backpack? Are you team suitcase?
Are you team packing cube or no packing cube?
I think the first person I saw use it is Karen Nate, but I also would be interested, when we were traveling, we saw people use it as well. One of those like rolly backpack that Osprey, I think, makes one. A rolly backpack that then also has straps. But has anyone used that? Is that like the best of both worlds? Has anyone done a suitcase in Europe and regretted their life? Or does anyone stand behind it? Rolling a suitcase on those cobblestones? I always admire those people.
Shout out to the people who can handle a suitcase on cobblestone. Let us know in the comments and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, bye.
You have me? Keep going with your bag, girl.
Put the foot up, and it's like this.
I'm like, you're so cute. I'm like this. Beautiful, tell me the story.
Yeah, but it's just...